and welcome to ToughPigs at 20, a Muppet fan podcast from ToughPigs.com. This is the series where we're looking back on the past 2 decades of the website for Muppet fans who grew up, featuring interviews with the writers and artists who helped make it happen. Our guest today has been a valued member of our team since 2010, a comedy writer and author of over 60 articles. He represents Muppet fandom over on the West Coast as ToughPigs' LA correspondent. We are extremely proud to welcome Matt Wilkie to the podcast. Hello, Matt.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Hello, Matt Wilkie. How are you today on this fine day?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you doing?
I am also great. Thank you for asking. Well, it's been a great podcast. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Subscribe.
Goodbye. No, okay, Matt, we have a lot to talk about.
Oh.
We have a lot to talk about. First and foremost, I got to know, how did you join the ToughPigs team? What's your story?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump in. Okay. So the year's 2010. I am in a graduate program from getting my MFA. And I am working on my thesis, which is for creative writing. So it was a novel. It was just a novel. I had to write a novel in under 2 years. And it was a really daunting task, but a lot of fun. So my novel revolved around my own relationship with my father. And it also is a very fictional account of a Muppeteer. So what I basically did was kind of took my relationship with my dad, and then I took Muppets and I tried to kind of like Forrest Gump them together, where it was like I created another Muppeteer who like came on the same time as Richard Hunt, and it was a very long, weird thing. So while I'm in school and working on this novel, I got really, really, really deep into Henson lore and like history, and I was mapping things out. And by coincidence, at that same time, I had read an article online that said that the Smithsonian was going to be acquiring the original Sam and Friends Muppets, including the very first Kermit. And I was like, that is amazing. I would love to see that. And so I called the museum and I said, hey, I heard about this dedication ceremony. How can I attend? And they said, this is a press-only event. And I was like, damn, that sucks. Okay, thank you. And then I thought to myself, you know what I love to read? ToughPigs.com.
Never heard of it.
It's pretty good. You might want to check it out sometime. So I said, you know, I've been reading it for a while, and like I'm working on my own writing, and I've done like some other freelance stuff online a little bit here and there. I'm going to cold email these guys and ask them if they're looking for more writers at this time. So I emailed Joe and Ryan. I told them about how I was living in Philadelphia at the time, Smithsonian's in Washington, D.C., and it was just a really short bus ride away. And I just said, hey, if you guys are not covering this and you'd like a correspondent too, I would love to kind of try out. And so Joe, he wrote me back, and he was very kind, but extremely cautious. I remember how much this was like, I could see it was like weighing on you as you were typing this email to be like, who the hell is this guy? Why would he want to be a writer? Like, what is there an angle here? Like,
what's wrong with him? He wants to write about Muppets?
Right. Who would want to do that? So
I will say, sorry to interrupt your story, but but basically, like, you know, we're very aware. There's a reason that we don't have like 90 people on our writing staff. You know, like it's writing for ToughPigs is a tricky thing, which we could get into. You know, all about our style and what we expect from our writers, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So every once in a while, we do get a message from someone who's like, "Hey, I want to write for ToughPigs." Sometimes it's great. Sometimes these are people who are very witty, funny, clever, smart, researched, whatever. And sometimes they're people who just like, it's just not really an article, or it's just not really something that we can publish, or it's something where like, thank you for this, I have to go and completely rewrite it myself now. And, you know, at the time, I remember getting this email from you and thinking, God, we really want to have someone there, but like, are we really going to go all the way down from New York City all the way to DC just for one press event that, like, I think it was also like in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It's like we would have had to take time off of work. Like, it was just such a huge thing. Yeah. We were like, already like, it's not going to happen. Forget it. So getting your email and we had to weigh okay, so this could be a crazy person, or
Very,
I mean,
very well.
it probably was, and like, this also might be something where we could publish this and we could have this coverage for free, and we thankfully decided to go for giving you that shot.
I one shot and I took it, and I wrote an okay article. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, you did a very safe recap. It was a thorough recap, but you also you took photos there. I mean, it was what we needed.
Yeah.
From an event like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first toe in the water for ToughPigs, and it was an amazing event. Like, it was so great. Jane Henson was there, part of the dedication. Willard Scott was yucking it up. I got to be like, it was, like, they had them on display there on the table before they were going to put them in the museum. So they weren't behind glass or anything. It was just like bare puppets that Jim Henson had built with his own hands, and was like the first things he ever made. And I could get like literally inches away from it to take these photos and just to like experience it. It was amazing. Yeah.
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 That's great. And it's funny because like my next question was going to be, do you remember the first article you wrote? Which of course you do, because you just told the whole story. Now, the funny thing that I didn't realize is that that article was written on August 27, 2010. Your second article wasn't until June of 2011. It was almost a year later.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe that?
I cannot.
Now, here's the real question: do you remember what our relationship was in that year? Because there's more to the story.
You and I. Oh yeah, yeah. So like I said, I was living in Philly. There was God bless the mega bus, where you could spend like $5 and go to New York City anytime you wanted. And I took advantage of that a lot. So when Muppet Vaults started, that was just so intriguing and so much fun. So I went to I think it was like the second one or the third one. And it was just such a fun event. So then I met you and Ryan there. I think Dave Holteen was at that one that I went to. Got to introduce myself to you guys, meet in person, and then started going to those and really became really good friends with both of you guys.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I do remember you coming up to us and being like, hey, I'm the guy that wrote that article for you. And it's like, oh, great, we could put a name to the face and all that. Also, to confirm that you are not a crazy person.
Yes. Yes.
And it's the same thing that Ryan and I have said many times about, trying to get ourselves, especially in the early days of ToughPigs, trying to get ourselves in front of a lot of the Muppet people. Not because it's like, oh, I got to meet the puppeteers or whatever. It was because I need to prove to you that I'm not a crazy person, and then we can start to have a relationship.
Yes, yeah, because they're within any fandom there can be those people who are just too personal and too in front of things. So I can totally understand that. Like in those early days, for myself and for our conversations, we really tried to present ourselves to the performers and the crew that we aren't obsessive. We're very nerdy and we have a lot of information in our heads, but we're not gonna track you down and
we're not following your house home.
And figure out. Yeah. So it's a very delicate balance there.
Correct.
And we rode that line hard.
So do you remember the first article that you wrote that was an actual ToughPigs article after this Smithsonian one? Gosh,
I think I know there were two within that time frame, and I don't remember which one was first. There was I think I know which one was first. It was Ernie and Bert, or Bert and Ernie.
Yes, you stylized it as Bert and then Ernie in parentheses, and Ernie, Bert in parentheses, which is hard to, I don't know how to say that out loud in a podcast. Bert, Ernie, and Ernie, Bert, or do I have to whisper Bert, Ernie, and Ernie, Bert?
I wouldn't guess.
What was that article? If you could
so that article, if I remember correctly, was just about how there's two ways to say it. You can either say Bert and Ernie, or you can say Ernie and Bert. And there was kind of a deep dive into the history of who says which. Is it a country thing? Is it a just your own personal preference? And I kind of tried to analyze what that might say about you.
So which do you say?
I say Bert and Ernie.
I also say Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
And a part of me thinks, and I don't really remember, I think after you published that article, I was like, well, I feel like I should take a stance. And I started always saying Bert and Ernie. And now Ernie and Bert sounds weird to me.
It sounds European to me. I don't know why. It sounds like is that how they say it in Sesame Strauss?
That's hysterical. So the other article that you wrote in that time frame was about the word Muppetational. I'm assuming that's what you were thinking of when you were debating.
That was the other one I was wondering about. Yeah,
yes,
that one was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You. Wow. Let's just keep talking over each other. You go. You go.
Okay. So, I remember that one being a lot of fun where I tried to say, like, what exactly is the etymology here?
Yes. And so I reread that article in preparation for this interview, and you do not have much of a conclusion. You are all over the place, which maybe that's what Muppetational means, is when you just come up with 90 different definitions and then eventually just say it doesn't really mean anything.
It very well could be. As a writer, I find that it's, for each outlet you're going to write something for, you really have to kind of theme it to. It's almost like I used to write for a late night talk show, sketch comedy show here in LA. It was a live stage theater thing. It was very like black box theater, lots of fun. And when you're doing, because I also did like a couple of packets for different late night shows like Conan and Kimmel. And when you're writing for a talk show host, you want to like make everything as if it's their voice saying it. Like you want to craft everything to be like, oh yeah, that's definitely something Conan would say. And capturing voice is really important, and it's really tough. And as we can see, I had a really hard time at the beginning with ToughPigs of kind of finding that balance of like nerdy, but funny, but informational a little bit, and had not nailed it bad then.
It's funny, in this podcast series, we've been talking a lot about those early years for Ryan and myself after we took over the site, and trying to emulate Danny and Kynan's voices, and how we were just terrible at that. Like it took us a long time to find that balance between emulating what the site was and what the site wanted to be, and like where our talents lied. And I can't imagine. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard balance for everybody. Whenever we bring on a new writer, we end up tweaking and sending back for rewrites and stuff like that to try to match our own expectations.
For sure, yeah. Not unlike Muppet performers replacing other Muppet performers.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Although I hope I'm not being replaced just yet.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you want a job?
Eric Jacobson, come on in.
So you also wrote an article that I liked called "What the Heck is Manhattan Melodies?" Where it's which is funny because like I don't think I thought about what the actual stage play Manhattan Melodies was until you pointed out, like, no, this show makes no sense.
It makes zero sense. How would you would not be able to watch that in a Broadway theater? There's no concept there.
They also literally build a fourth wall. So I think at some point the people in the theater are watching the outside of a church.
They are just reading the sign outside that has something very clever written on it.
Right. Yes. So you've written a lot of fun articles.
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Would the church sign say it's Adam and Eve, not Kermit and Piggy?
And then it would attribute it to some incorrect Bible verse.
Yes,
it would say like Romans 33.
Yeah.
So Matt, you've written a lot of fun articles. You've also, I feel like, made your stake in your role within the ToughPigs team as being our LA correspondent. Mm-hmm. That mainly has to do with the fact that you live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
It does, and I'm glad that you moved there just for us. So thank you for that.
That's why, yeah.
So you've gotten to go to a lot of really like fun events and like press stuff. Any of them stand out to you as being particularly special?
One, of course, number one with a bullet is going to be the one that you were there for as well. The Muppets Most Wanted world premiere red carpet interviews that we did my goodness, what a world! What a
That
world!
was the best weekend. That really, you say what a world, and man, what a world. That was
Yeah,
great.
it was so much fun. So for anyone who doesn't know, this was a really great event that happened at the El Capitan Theater, where coincidentally I started my Disney career at that theater, so I have a lot of love for it. That theater is also, for anyone who doesn't know, the exterior was used in the Muppets for filming the Muppet Theater, so they converted it into that.
Right, in the film, not the TV show,
Right.
because that's what we have to
Yeah, we
explain
do
when
have
we
to, we
say
do have
the
to
Muppets. Yes.
delineate that. Yeah,
Right. Yes. Good. Yes.
yeah. So great experience there. When they had the red carpet interviews, we did it in conjunction with Ryan Dozier of the Muppet Mindset, which is now part of the Tough Pigs Corp. What's our LLC name?
Yes, we I don't know, we
The
absorbed him
conglomerates.
for the protein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so if you get a chance, anyone listening that wants to see like some really fun interviews, and I say that very objectively, they're just a lot of fun to watch. Those interviews you did were a blast. I had a good experience, and this one was something that I actually couldn't even write about, but I had gotten to see some of the filming of that same movie. So that was a great experience that I got from being associated with Tough Pigs. Like, it's definitely something that endeared me to the people that were working on that movie, and that allowed me to visit that set. And that was like my first time on a big movie set, so it was fantastic. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
So that Muppets Most Wanted is like top tier Muppet movie for me, because I was just off of camera right there, and
right.
And like, oh, those bonus features of the red carpet, I was right over there. It was like, yeah. So that movie's very special.
Yeah. You also got to go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame when the Muppets got their star.
Yes.
That was a neat thing. You got to go to a Dave Goelz tribute event at the Henson company lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah.
You got to go to a Muppet Babies premiere event, which I actually had no memory of.
It was a very small one. That one was just like kind of a screening room thing, and they invited press. So it wasn't like their like premiere.
So the babies weren't there.
There were no babies.
Not one baby?
Not one baby. No swaddling, no nothing. It was just, why'd I even go to that one?
You went to a pop-up event for promoting Happy Time Murders?
Oh my gosh, the ink hole. I will never forget the ink hole. It was so much fun. And by coincidence, I knew some of the puppeteers that were working that night.
Oh.
And I didn't know that because, they were all hidden. But like the puppets were all really nice to me. And then later on, I was getting texts. It was like, hey, that was me playing this. And I was like, oh, that makes sense now why they were so nice to me.
That's hysterical. That has happened to me before. I remember, this is such a tangent, but I was at Comic-Con once, New York Comic-Con, and someone in an airplane costume, like a walk around like airplane promoting like Disney's planes maybe, or was a toy. I don't remember what it was. And so he's like, we're like taking photos and whatever. It's a stupid thing. And he's like, he can't speak inside, so he's signaling to me, and he's pointing at his nose and then pointing at me. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's pointing at his nose and pointing at me. And I'm like, knows you? Oh, you know me. Oh, you know me. Oh, and then
clever.
I had to guess who it was and, figure out. Yeah. And that was very exciting. Yes. You saw the real Kermit the Frog in a stage show of Wizard of Oz in LA?
Oh my gosh. It was wild. Like, I don't know how I got the first email for this thing, or if like somebody else on the site had posted about it first. But yeah, Kermit the Frog, the character,
yes,
was an actor who was hired to be in a production of The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And it was crazy. So it was like they called it pantomime style, which is, I guess, very popular in the UK. And it's where like they really encourage especially the kids in the audience to kind of like shout and like sing along, and like, oh, if the witch is on stage, you gotta boo her really loud. So like the whole experience was like interactive in a way I was not expecting. But it was so, because it was so bizarre, it was so much fun. It was just a blast. And Kermit didn't even come out until the second act, because he played the wizard who's behind the curtain. So like, they don't come out. But people lost their minds when he came out.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
It was so much fun.
Wow. And it was probably better than Muppets Wizard of Oz, I would assume.
Yeah. That's all we need to say.
You got to build Muppet toys at Build-A-Bear. I'm just going through the long list of stuff you did in LA.
Oh my gosh! Oh boy, yes. Yeah.
No, there's nothing to say about that. It was just a thing that you did.
It was a Kermit the Frog Build-A-Bear, and it was the head was a puppet, which was, I think, like one of the first times Build-A-Bear had done that.
Great.
Bears.
Wonderful. Do you still own it?
I gave possession of it to my nephew. So
that is the right thing to do.
One of his first toys. Yeah.
Great. I love that. Okay, so the other big thing that you do for us on the West Coast is you've attended San Diego Comic-Con like 30 times.
I'm an expert at it now. Yeah.
Yes. So how's that? It's pretty okay, huh?
It's amazing, guys. I'm not like trying to make anyone who hasn't been there jealous, including Joe, who I know. Has been trying for years to get out here and to go, and he will one day, and it'll be a great time. It's so much fun there. It's just like 4 straight days of sensory overload in the best ways. You see the coolest costumes, you see the greatest artwork, you get to see sometimes very, very little. You get to see something Muppet related. And that is how I've been able to go for so many years, because every year has like one panel, and that's it. And sometimes it's like Henson Comics, and sometimes it's the Muppets, the sitcom. And so it's just like a wide array of like, either it's like totally cool or very, very passable, and you would not miss it if you didn't make that panel. But it's given me that opportunity. I mean, like 2 years ago. So the last Comic-Con they did, 2019, was the 50th anniversary. So they really booked a lot of cool stuff to try to get people excited about it. And that was the year that Big Bird walked the Comic-Con floor.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it was for the Hasbro group. They were doing their HasLab project for the Cookie Monster puppet replica, which sadly never got made, but was like so cool. And like we got to go to their booth and see it in person, and meet the guy who basically built it, and he was so cool. I really wish right now I could remember his name, but he's with Hasbro, and Hasbro's great. So they really wanted to promote this to get people to donate to. So the HasLab is kind of like a Kickstarter, where you have to get a minimum amount of backers or they don't put it into production. And so like right now they're doing one for like the Marvel Legends line. They have a Galactus, which is like 3 feet tall, and it's $400. And it would be amazing, but where would you put that? I don't know. But something like that is like super exciting. So a lot of people go and they back it. The Cookie Monster one was a little bit of a tough sell, especially for the price point. But man, it was so cool, and I wish that had gotten funded.
The designer's name, by the way, is Bill Rawley.
Yes, Bill. He was so great. He was so fun, and really,
I met him.
cool.
I met him in New York. I met their team in New York. To kind of, take a look at the prototype as well, and talk about how, if I thought that Muppet fans were gonna come out in droves for this thing, and I thankfully didn't tell them like, oh yeah, of course, like this thing's gonna sell like hotcakes, because it didn't. No, it's a real shame that they didn't end up making it. I would have loved to have had one. I was not planning on getting it just because I live in a tiny apartment and I don't know where I would put it, but it was super impressive. But back to Comic-Con, you and I have this in common, because you handle the San Diego Comic Con coverage. I handle the New York Comic Con coverage. Whew, that's a lot of words.
It's tough.
And it's so disappointing. Like there have been years where there's been a lot of stuff. There's a big panel, there's cool merchandise, whatever, or like you just walk around and you see, Artist Alley. There's a lot of people doing Muppet art, or you find these little things here and there. And I feel like every year there's just a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less, and it's hard to justify the time that we take to not to go to the cons. I mean, that's just fun, but like to actually like put together, both a here's what to expect at a con and here's what we saw at the con coverage. Because there's usually very little.
It's very little. Yeah, those articles. I know when you do them too. Every year, I'm really struggling with those ones because it's just not that much to see. And then when you do go, it's mostly like it ends up being a picture article, which is a lot of fun too, though, because you get to like showcase different people's artworks. That's my favorite thing about the articles we write for it, though, is like when we walk the Artist Alley and you see like these artists who like it's their first table time there, it's their first website sometimes, and we get to give them a really good showcase on ToughPigs. So that's worth it for sure.
I completely agree. But I mean, this is the peek behind the curtain. Is the reason we do this is to make sure that we continue to get press passes for the following year, because that's when we send it, fill out the applications. I'm having trouble talking today.
Well, good thing you're not on the podcast.
I'm all flustered. We fill out the applications, then we have to prove that we covered the con the previous year. That helps to get our press passes confirmed. And these cons are also getting increasingly more difficult to get into. There was a time where we could go to New York Comic Con. I think we actually brought you to New York Comic Con once because we were able to get like 9 press passes. And it's like, I didn't know who to give them to because we didn't have that many friends. And now it's like we get capped like low. We get maybe 2 per con, which is fine. I'm not complaining. It's nice to get 2, but we do a lot of work for those 2 passes.
That's the other thing is that there's so many things, and oftentimes what happens is there's like 2 panels in the whole con that you have to go to, that it's like these are the 2 that are the pinnacle ones, and they're always on the same day at almost the same time. So you need that second person.
That's true.
Like minimum. I usually, like I have like Dave Holteen and our friend James usually come out with us and we hang out. But Dave's not there for the site. He's there just to have fun, and he's like got his own ticket. So I'm really like the only one doing all of San Diego Comic Con. And it's a lot. So anytime they cap us, I'm like, guys, please.
I know. I mean, it's really nice that they, I'm sure that like all the Star Wars fan sites, all the Marvel and DC fan sites, like all these other, like these larger, just the main comic book, news sites or whatever, like they can probably bring a ton of people. Like it's kind of nice that they think like, okay, we'll throw a couple to the Muppets. It's not a Muppet Con, it's a Comic Con, So do you have any other favorite ToughPigs moments or articles that you've written, or people you've gotten to meet or talk to, or hands you've gotten to shake?
So many hands, and that's which is weird because you're like, well, is that a big deal? But then when I think about it, like, yeah, I've shaken Matt Vogel's hand. That's like kissing Kermit in a way.
I always say that about the time that I met Frank Oz, and like I asked him for a photo, and in the photo he's got his arm over my shoulder, and you can see his hand sitting on my shoulder. And whenever I look at that picture, I'm like, that's Fozzie Bear's face right there on my shoulder.
Fantastic. Yes, yeah. So I didn't get into this to meet the Muppet performers. Like that wasn't my goal. It was just that it was such a fun website. It was very pertinent to what I was doing at the time, and I still, like all of us who are listening, I'm sure, grew up loving the Muppets. So any kind of way that I can kind of express that love and put it out into the internet was just fantastic. But from doing it and from building those relationships and from meeting those people, getting to spend not even just once, like I got multiple times to go to the set of the Muppets when they filmed that sitcom in 2015. And it's like something that I don't brag about because I put a lot of work into the relationship that I built, and I really treasure those relationships. I never call them friendships. I have acquaintances with the performers, and they're always just so kind and nice, and that did that, and they said multiple times, oh yeah, Matt, you have a friend that's visiting that really wants to meet us, and we respect you and appreciate you. So yeah. So I never kind of leverage those relationships, but I appreciate them so much, and I would never have gotten those relationships if it wasn't for Tough Pigs.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a weird line to walk. Where we want to we want to be friends with these guys because they're nice people, and they do work that we love. But also like we run this website, and we
Yeah.
kind of have to have a little bit of distance there for professionalism,
Right.
and to not accidentally become like weird clingy fans.
Mhm.
I think if I actually became like real life friends with some of these people, I would question for my entire life, like, are we friends, or like, is it just are they just being nice so they say nice things about them online?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to share one more memory that you mentioned earlier about when you were at the Smithsonian event
Mhm.
and being that close to something that Jim Henson created. We went to, I was in LA once, and we went to the Henson workshop, the Creature Shop.
Mhm.
And this was before Turkey Hollow had come out.
Yes.
And we were in the workshop. They're giving us the tour. There's all these great Henson puppets and props and creatures and mechanics and whatever all over the place. It was amazing. And you said to me that you had a goal for the day. Do you remember what this was?
I do remember what this was. My goal for that day was to touch something that Jim Henson touched.
Right. And we knew this was going to be a challenge because most of the things in this workshop, this wasn't like Jim's workshop. This was just a workshop that where they make stuff with
Yeah,
Jim's
just like,
name on it.
yeah.
So it was very unlikely that we were going to see something that Jim had touched, except that there was something there.
Was. And it was the original prototype puppets for Turkey Hollow. And I I I thought at the time, I think the first time I did it, I just kind of, when no one was looking, I just took my finger, just the tip of my finger, and I touched one of them on the nose. And I said, okay, that's it. That's my goal. I did it. And then later on, they let us try out the puppets. We got
That's
to
right.
like operate them.
Yeah.
We used the servos and everything. And
Well,
I was like,
that was we got to operate the new ones, not the old ones.
oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
The new ones. Yes.
Those didn't have servos and stuff.
Right.
But yes,
yeah.
we
Those,
got to play
those
with
are just hand puppets. Yeah.
the joystick, the remote control that controlled the eyes, the mouth, and all the facial expressions, which was very difficult. But yes, I did the same thing. I kind of like just reached my hand out and I touched a foot or something like that, and it's like I'm sure Jim touched that foot at some point.
That is it. He made this foot himself. It was a piece of fabric before it was a foot, and Jim made it into a foot, and we got to touch it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the whole thing literally disintegrated after we touched it. We destroyed this.
Burst into flames.
Priceless. Oh,
and
man. So embarrassing.
Jim's ghost came out of nowhere, and that guy's a jerk.
He was a jerk. Yeah. The undead.
Real Jim Henson.
Really,
Real Jim Henson, great guy.
Yeah.
Ghost Jim Henson, jerk.
Yeah. People don't know that. We should write an article about that. Ghost Jim Henson.
But where would we publish it, Joe?
GhostStuffPigs.com. All right, Matt. I got one more question for you.
Okay.
If you were to blue sky, whatever the next Muppet project would be, to whatever, if it's a TV show, or is it a movie, is it something else, something to kind of bring them back into the public eye, make them the famous Muppets that we all know and love, that are beloved by millions. What would you like to see them do?
I want to see. Okay, so coming soon to Disney Plus is the Muppets Haunted Mansion, and I think that's such a fun idea. I think that's such a cool thing, and that's something that they can just like go nuts and explore and have fun with it. I would want to see a series of those, and the first one after that would be Fozzie Bear, who is a skipper on the Jungle Cruise.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It's legitimately perfect.
Yeah. So I think it's a good way to introduce folks, like reintroduce them or introduce them. I think after the Muppet Show went on Disney Plus, people like got really hungry about it. But a special like that can kind of showcase the evolution that they've gone through and how the characters are now, and show people the modern versions, which aren't really that different.
It's true. And then you also, Disney gets that beautiful synergy.
Absolutely.
Which they could get if they just released Muppets of Walt Disney World on Disney Plus. But that's a whole other topic. We don't need to talk about that. No, I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I felt like Disney was starting to do this with their movies, where like Pirates of the Caribbean was a big hit, and they made Tomorrowland, and I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting that was actually a relatively large hit. It wasn't Country Bears.
It was not Country Bears.
But like I kind of thought that like this was something like, oh yeah, we'll keep making movies based on like these rides or these attractions, these areas of the theme park, and it's fine that they didn't. I'm not bemoaning that, but the Muppets could easily do that. You do the Haunted Mansion, you do like a Big Thunder Railroad with Gonzo or something, and, or no, Gonzo's already in the other one. Well, Beauregard can have the Big Thunder Railroad.
There you go.
Yeah, or I don't know, like what's your
Crazy
favorite?
Harry? Why not?
Sure. Who cares?
Let's go deep. Yeah.
What is your favorite Disney ride or attraction?
Oh, hands down, Space Mountain.
Space Mountain. Okay, so what Muppet would you put in a Space Mountain special?
Space Mountain, I would put Pigs in Space Mountain.
Oh my God, it writes itself.
It writes itself.
Yeah. Wow, that's. You didn't have to think about that. That was perfect.
I got a million of them, Joe. You name a ride, I'll give you a Muppet for it.
Okay, I'm gonna do one more. Let's see. First, I have to remember all the Disney rides. How about the People Mover?
That should be Beauregard because he drives a cab, so he's a people mover himself.
That is true. I like it.
Yeah.
And then I wrote an article years ago for ToughPigs about Disney World. It was like a 2 or 3 part series, and one of them was just like what are my crazy ideas for what they should do to theme Disney World with Muppets. And I was doing things like put Bunsen's glasses on the on the big golf ball
on
thing.
The ball. Yeah.
Replace the Yeti in
Matterhorn.
Thank you, in the Matterhorn with Sweetums. Turn Animal Kingdom into like Animals Kingdom. See, it writes itself.
I like it. Yeah.
So yes, I would love to see the Muppets do more stuff with the parks. Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Everybody loves seeing a pig on a roller coaster.
I know I do. Especially because I'm like, what's that pig doing here? All right, Matt Wilkie, please tell me, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Writing Wilkie. That's my Twitter and my Instagram handle. That's all you really need to get a good glimpse of my life.
Great. That's pretty easy. Matt, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the ToughPigs team.
Thank you for having me, Joe. I love ToughPigs. I have loved ToughPigs for many, many, many years. And even being a part of it and that daily grind has not lessened my love at all.
I'm so glad because we have a lot more work for you to do.
Okay, great. I'll be back.
Yeah, back to work.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of ToughPigs at 20. Please make sure you're following ToughPigs on all of the great social media networks, only the great ones, including Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. If you like us enough that you might want to send us a few bucks, then you can go to patreon.com/toughpigs, and we will exchange your bucks for cool perks. So that's pretty fun.
I'm a member.
Thanks for being a member. Thanks for paying to write for ToughPigs. You can stop your membership if you want, Matt. That's okay. In the meantime, please enjoy our next episode coming up in another week, and we will see you then. Goodbye.